And we're back with Bedtime Stories, Grownup Edition, Feast or Famine, Part 12. When we left off, Donovan had a Maury Povich moment and found out that he is the father. Bro was so excited, he was ready to plan a wedding. But then, something hit him. Donovan apologized fervently to Veronica in front of all of their family and friends. Then he follows her back to her place, where they sit and have a long discussion about the pregnancy, the fate of their relationship, about building trust, and Veronica's willing to forgive him. She can understand why he wouldn't have believed that it was his baby after all he's been through medically. They reassure one another that neither of them have been with anybody else since their breakup. And surprisingly, Donovan is telling the truth. He turns Veronica every which way but loose up in that house. And after putting her to sleep, he leaves and calls Q. He says, "Bro, we need to talk ASAP." Q said, "I can tell by the reaction you had outside of the doctor's office when I said it looks like you're not shooting blanks." Donovan said, "Right. Where you at, bro? I'm about to pull up." Q told Donovan to come visit him at his office at T-Cole, and when Donovan arrived, he told him all about his week of mania. He explained that during that week, a lot was going on. The whole situation with Amoura was up in the air. Q had been shot, and because of his bipolar disorder, he thought that Veronica was in love with Q. As a result, he was sowing his wild oats all over the DFW. Q said, "But man, you wasn't strapping up? Even if you didn't think you could get anybody pregnant, you wasn't worried about STDs, STIs?" Donovan said, "Of course, man, but I was also intoxicated most of that week. So I can only account for the times when I was in my right mind. And most of that week, I wasn't in my right mind." You said, "Oh my God, bro. All right, this is what we're going to do. You're going to give me the information for all of the women that you took down." Donovan said, "All the ones I remember?" Q said, "Oh God, please tell me that you've at least told Veronica this." Donovan said, "Yeah, I told her. When I went and checked into inpatient treatment, I told her all about it." Q said, "Okay, good. Well, don't mention anything about anybody else possibly being pregnant, okay? The girl can only handle so much. Give me your access to your phone, your computer, and your security system, and we can start there. I'll follow up and see if anybody's visibly pregnant." Donovan said, "And that's just it. One of the women did contact me and tell me she was pregnant." Q said, "And what happened?" Donovan said, "I told her to find her baby daddy because I wasn't him." Q said, "Okay, well, how about you start with her and I'll get on the rest of them." While Donovan went to get in contact with the girl who'd called him and told him that she was pregnant, Q remembered that the Queen Mother put LJ on Donovan. He called LJ and he told him where the file was. They had all of the information for everywhere that Donovan went during that week. Q was able to get the names, addresses, and phone numbers for all 20 of the women that Donovan had been with. It only took a few days for him to have results. Before he could get back to Donovan, Donovan was on his line. Donovan said, "Man, I have great news. I talked to her and she said she left the state and handled that business. She's not pregnant anymore." Q asked, "Did you lay eyes on her, Donovan?" Donovan said, "Yeah, and I had her show me proof." Q said, "Good." Donovan said, "So it looks like I'm in the clear." Q said, "I wouldn't speak so fast. 2 of the 20 women you were with are currently visibly pregnant." Donovan said, "Oh my God." Q said, "Calm down. You don't know how far along they are, and if they haven't contacted you, maybe there isn't any reason to be concerned, but you need to follow up with them." Q told Donovan which women they were, and Donovan got on it. That night, Q was hosting a couple's night at his house. On one side of the room, Regina, Angela, and Stephanie were having a conversation, and on the other side, Q, LJ, and Pastor Corey were kicking it. Q went and answered the door, and when he returned to the man cave, Donovan was behind him. Unfortunately for him, LJ had told Regina all about his current predicament, and Regina was already a few drinks in, and she was straight clowning. Regina said, "Hey, y'all."
I remember when Usher was like, Now this gonna be the hardest thing I think I ever had to do. Got me talking to myself, asking how I'm gonna tell you about that chick on part one I told y'all I was creeping with. Says she's 3 months pregnant and she's keeping it. First thing that came to mind was, second thing is, how do I know if it's mine or is it true? Third thing is me wishing that I never did what I did. What?
All three of the women burst out laughing. But Stephanie, being the only one not in the know, made everything worse. She said, that's the third thing? You mean you was supposed to be one place, but you was someplace else doing whatever it was you was doing? If you hate me, just say that, bro. And folks wonder how they end up on the first 48. I would be on the FBI's most wanted list. Let me tell you. Over here panicking, trying to figure out how he gonna tell her man, go to hell. Donovan looked at LJ with the death stare, and Regina and Angela were crying. Then Angela said, where's Veronica? Donovan said, she's upstairs waiting for her friend and her friend's man. Q said, man, who y'all invited? I ain't tell y'all to bring nobody. Immediately thereafter, Veronica, Jada, and Deacon Davis walked in. Before Q could put them out, Pastor Corey grabbed his arm and said, just chill, be easy, it's all right. And Angela gave Q a look like, please, don't make a scene. They're here now. The couple walked in and greeted everybody, and Regina was suspicious. It was a potluck of sorts, so everybody brought food, hors d'oeuvres, snacks, drinks, and the like, and the couples enjoyed spades and pool, and as the night began to wrap up, the couples left 2 by 2. Angela ended up leaving with Regina and LJ because her and Q needed constant supervision. As the last 2 couples got ready to head out, Donovan and Veronica, and Jada and Deacon Davis, Jada said she needed to use the restroom. Veronica and Donovan went ahead and left, and Deacon Davis said he would wait for her in the car. When Jada joined Deacon Davis in the car, he asked, how'd it go? She said, it's done. She handed him a cell phone, and he drove off. A few days later, Donovan gets up with the first pregnant woman, and she's way too far along for it to even be his. She tells him that she was pregnant when they slept together. She just wasn't aware. Unfortunately, he's having a hard time getting up with the second one. He's called her, but he's blocked. He's been by her house, and she won't answer the door. He calls Q and tells him, man, something ain't right. I can't get a hold of this broad. Q said, okay, I'll put somebody on her, and I'll let you know when she's in a position where you can intercept her. The very next day, one of the PIs tails the woman to a grocery store. When Donovan is alerted, he shows up there and confronts her. She's adamant that he is not the father, her current boyfriend is, and that she wants nothing to do with Donovan, and she doesn't want her boyfriend to have any clue that she's been with someone else. When Donovan asks her for a DNA test, she refuses. When he tells Q what happened, Q says, that's not gonna work, bro. You're gonna have to get proof. Donovan says, I know, but I can't make her, and I can't steal her DNA. Q says, you're gonna have to tell Veronica what's going on. Donovan calls Veronica and arranges a conversation with him and Q. He's afraid. He needs backup. When Donovan, Q, and Veronica meet up, and Donovan confesses, Veronica is pissed. Veronica surprises everybody, even herself, when she says, you know what? I chose to forgive you for all the stuff that you did that week. I didn't know what all came with it, but if this is what comes with it, then we have to work through it together. So this is what you do. Q, you continue tailing her. And when you find her with this so-called man of hers in a place where I can pop up, you let me know. I'm going to handle it from here. Q says, now wait a minute. You can't be getting in no physical altercations. You carrying my niece. Veronica said, I know how to handle myself. I got this. A few days later, Q and Angela have their follow-up session with the marriage counselors. They let them know that things have been going fairly well. When the topic of the fertility and the embryo comes up, Q expresses that he understands Angela's position. And after prayer and contemplation, he's prepared to accept whatever God decides as it relates to whether they have more children. He believes what God promised him, and he's willing to stand on it. But he respects Angela's need to be reassured that whether they do or don't, he's still gonna stick beside her. He's committed to not becoming preoccupied with procreation, and he asks her to leave room for the possibility that they just might be having an Abraham and Sarah experience. Then he tells her that they need a prenup so that no one will be tempted to do what Jessica tried to do. Angela expresses her appreciation for Q's willingness to reassure her. She also says that she can understand why he'd be so adamant about standing on what God promised him, especially considering how Angel was conceived. God had promised her a baby too. She is adamant once again that they don't need a prenup. She doesn't care what anybody says or what anybody tries. When Angela and Q get back to the estate, Stephanie, Miss Brenda, Regina, and Bernie are waiting for her. On the table is Essence's latest 40 Under 40 magazine. Featured at number 1 is Angela. It's a photo of her from the family photo shoot, and Angela is flabbergasted. Stephanie reads a portion of the entry and then tells Angela that Essence magazine will be flying her to New York City the following day.